Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1518B, and today's date is March 11th, 2018, and the title of the episode is, The Game is Being Played Out in Front of the World. Do you want to play? Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Dan Reitzik. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel, so all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It will bring you to the interview. You can play it right there, or you can come over to x22report.com or newsentinel.com. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You'll see the interview there. You can play it right on the site. Or you can go to Steemit. That is steemit.com. Steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, it looks like the deep state, they're trying to gain the narrative of telling the people why you need a free and independent media. And of course, it's their controlled media outlets. And what they're saying, and the UK government over Twitter on Friday, after Britain's official UN account, tweeted, "A free and independent media fulfills a vital role in holding the powerful to account and giving a choice to the powerless." And of course, they gave a link to a puff piece waxing eloquent over the UK's commitment to free speech. Now, we know that this is not what they really want. They want their speech, and everyone else they want completely silent. Assange, well, apparently wasn't included in the UK's definition of free and independent media, and he went off on them. And he's saying that this is exactly why you have detained me without charge for 8 years in violation of 2 UN rulings and spent over £20 million spying on me, you hypocritical mother effers. Your entire international human rights program is 10.6 million, you pathetic frauds. Assange then followed up with, "Remember how I exposed your secret deal to put Saudi Arabia on the Human Rights Council?" referring to a 2015 vote trading deal in which the UK approached Saudi Arabia in secret, promising it a seat on the UN Human Rights Council in exchange for council support. And he's out there saying that, yeah, the media is not out there to give you the real news. It's not to promote free speech. And we know from Q, Snowden and Assange, they're on the move. They have a lot of evidence that is going to bury the deep state. And the United States government, I'm talking about the Trump administration, when Snowden and Assange are ready, they're going to pull them in. And many people are saying that Snowden might have the videotape of Hillary Clinton having maybe sex with a child. And this is raw, unedited video. And there's a lot of paperwork that Assange might or does have that will bury a lot of the individuals in the deep state. And we can see right now, this is getting very serious. Basically, what is happening right now is this whole entire thing is one gigantic game. Game to the deep state, and Trump and the patriots behind Trump, they are playing their game. And you have to remember, when you hear news reports and you hear the corporate media come out and they say something, and it sounds like it has to be the truth, and they make it seem like it is the truth, most likely it is not. They use propaganda. They have the right to use propaganda because they passed a law that allows the corporate media to use propaganda on the American people. Actually, we can see already there's a lot of wet work going on. We talked about Sergei Skripal, who was poisoned, and it's starting to look like he is completely connected to Hillary Clinton, the DNC, and the Steele dossier, and Christopher Steele. And it looks like that they are getting rid of these individuals that might talk. This is what they do. They kill those individuals that have knowledge of what they have done. Now, this is the first phase. We're going to see probably a lot more killings because there's a lot of people out there that know what the Clintons have been doing, what Christopher Steele has been doing, that the Steele dossier is completely fake, phony, and false. And I wouldn't be surprised right now to see many more individuals, well, killed off. Now, of course, they're going to make it look like that it was, an accident. This whole poisoning of Skripal, it looks like this was done by a contractor. It was very sloppily done. It looks like it was a rush job. And we can see right now that most likely what is happening is they've gotten wind that Sessions is going to appoint a outside group to investigate FISA, Uranium One, Clinton emails. But the funny thing about this is that this investigation, this outside group that's investigating all of this, is already taken place. It's not just happening now. It's already happening. Just like the deal with North Korea. And this is where people are getting a little bogged down in, because you're thinking in the old way. You're thinking, well, if the alternative media is saying that we're going to war and we're putting up a video that we're going to war, that must be right, because the corporate media, well, they're also saying that we're going to war. What is happening right now, the messages are getting mixed up, and certain people can't let go of what was being done before, and they think we're still on that same path. And at the time when the corporate media was out there saying that we're going to war, actually many people have been saying that we were going to war, that it's inevitable, there's no way around this. I was saying, no, this is not happening. We were looking into what was going on. We knew there were talks going on behind the scenes. We knew that from the actions of what Trump does, that's not what he wanted. And what Trump and the Patriots are doing right now is they're going after the deep state. Keep that in your head. Don't listen to what's being said. Look at the actions right now. Actually, I don't even think Tillerson actually knew what was going on at the time. He wasn't told about the Trump meeting with Kim until after the announcement. And like I said before, the meeting with Kim Jong-un already happened. The deal has already been laid out. And right now, what is happening is it's being reported to the corporate media. They don't realize that this has already taken place. The deal's already stopped. Now think about this for a second. North Korea has not conducted a missile test since November of 2017 and has promised not to do so through the meeting with Trump. Because what has happened already is that the deal was already made. And we can see right now that Trump is even tweeting about this. He's laughing right now because he is playing the deep state game. And you got to get into the game to understand what is happening. Just because Trump is out there, and I'm not saying Trump is a good guy, bad guy, Republican, it makes no difference. Actually, the Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats. I know people don't want to believe this, but they're just as bad. And believe me, Trump is not just going after Democrats. He'll be going after those corrupt Republicans. McCain come to mind. And there's going to be many, many others. Actually, you're going to see a lot of Congress completely resign. And what we're seeing right now is the game is being played. What you see Trump doing, and it's an incredible strategy, and it's a strategy that I would use. You come off as a bumbling fool. You say things just to put it out there because the corporate media loves propaganda. They love pursuing the propaganda angle. They don't care about facts. And what you can do is you can get them all riled up. And this is what has been going on right now. In the meantime, we see other things happening. Iran is offering Iraq $3 billion in credit line to rebuild their country. So Iraq is getting closer with Iran. That report in Syria where the corporate media was out there saying 100, 200 Russians were killed and the U.S. was attacking, and this is another instance where we're trying to get into war. No, this is not what happened. Actually, Der Spiegel actually investigated. They actually went out and they looked at what was being said, and they did investigatory work. And they looked at the whole entire thing, and they said, whoa, we started to talk to individuals. We started to talk to people in Syria, actually going to Syria. And what they've learned was there were 10 to 20 Russians that were killed. And actually, it turns out they were paid mercenaries. They weren't even the Russian troops. This whole story was completely made up. On February 7th, the report came out that the U.S. bombed the Syrian army and allied forces in eastern Syria. The Americans claimed that they had killed about 100 fighters, presumably mostly Syrians. Yet in the coming days and weeks in the various corners of the internet, all of a sudden we heard that, and this was coming from Reuters and Bloomberg, that 200 to 300 Russian citizens were killed in Deir ez-Zor by U.S. strikes. This was put out by the deep state to get us into some type of war or try to push war. And what really happened was that these paid mercenaries were out there, and the corporate media latched on to these stories and blew it out of proportion. And it turns out that it was about 10 to 20 paid mercenaries that were actually killed in this strike. And it was not the Russian forces. This is how all this stuff gets blown out of proportion. Now there's reports that Trump is sending in 6,000 troops into Syria. Again, this is deep state propaganda. Let's go back in time a little bit. First, we're going to go to North Korea. Remember back with North Korea where Trump was out there saying that, we have a bigger button. We'll push this button. We'll destroy North Korea with our nuclear button. I mean, the corporate media was going crazy with this. Actually, the corporate media was putting out reports saying that we're ready to go to war. We have these generals who are preparing the war report. 10,000 U.S. soldiers will probably die right off the bat. But we're going to go in there with some type of strike. This was all being put out there as propaganda to convince the American people we're getting ready and prepared for war. In the meantime, what was happening is that this whole thing was completely fake because China, Russia, Trump, South Korea were all talking to Kim Jong-un and talking about denuclearization, reunification, and peace. But the corporate media, since they don't do anything else except push propaganda, that's all you heard. Remember in Syria, when Trump fired the Tomahawk missiles into an air base in Syria. Now, the air base was evacuated. There was really no one there. Most of the missiles didn't reach their targets. Russia intercepted them, electronically disabled them, and the missiles that did hit didn't really do that much damage. The air base was reopened within an hour. Think about this for a second. And flights were taking off once again. Then the corporate media was out there saying that we're going to be invading. We're getting ready with 200,000 troops. We're going to be invading Syria. All turned out to be fake, phony, and false. And then everyone was out there saying, well, we're still on the side of the Islamic State. Trump is working with the deep state, with the Islamic State. Well, he then decided to stop the funding to the moderate rebels. Why would he do that? The Islamic State is the moderate rebels. They're all one and the same. Why would you stop the funding? That makes no sense. He took away the control of choosing the targets in Syria. That used to be Obama's decision, where he told the armed forces what to hit, when to hit. And that's why when we reported and the corporate media was saying that this war was going to go on forever in Syria, and they were telling us that we were doing a great job in battling the Islamic State, we reported that the Islamic State was actually gaining ground. And the strikes that Obama was having the armed forces use to attack the Islamic State was actually advancing the Islamic State. Now, Trump took the power and gave it back to the armed forces and said, go after the Islamic State. Russia actually was the main focus of all of this. They're the ones who really hit the Islamic State hard. And with a year and a half, decimated the Islamic State. Now Trump, where he gave the armed forces the ability to target the Islamic State, they helped with the situation. Then Trump decided we're no longer going to fund the Kurd army. Now, if he's part of the deep state, why would he do this? This makes no sense, because their plan, and this is coming from Brookings, and their entire plan was to separate Iraq, Syria. Why would he get rid of the funding? It makes no sense, because he's not working with the deep state. I know you don't want to believe this, but he's not working with the deep state. This is the game. The troops that are coming into Syria are paid mercenaries. These are not U.S. troops we're sending in to protect the Kurd area. That's not happening. The reason why Turkey is in there, and this is with the permission of Putin, is to remove the deep state from the Kurdish area. Remember how many bases they built? Something like 10 to 20 bases in this area. Well, they're removing and getting rid of and pushing them back. This is why Trump decided to close down the routes from Pakistan into Afghanistan, because this is how they were supplying the Islamic State. This is how they were shipping back and forth the poppy field, the drugs, the opium, and things like that. This was all being shut down. What you're hearing from the corporate media is pure propaganda. Because if it was true, we'd be in war with North Korea already. If it was true, why is the Islamic State completely gone? If it's true, why haven't we split up Syria yet? It makes no sense. Why would we stop the funding? You're hearing propaganda. That is what everyone's hearing. Trump right now, he's cleaning house. I'm telling you right now, McMaster's and many of the other individuals are going to be removed from office. And this is not going to be a year from now. It's going to be within months. Right now, Trump is working to get rid of the Five Eyes. What are the Five Eyes? Well, this is a multilateral agreement for cooperation in signals intelligence between Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Basically what this does, it allows each country to spy on another country's citizen and give that information to that country. This way, just like the United States, the UK would spy on the citizens of the United States and give the intelligence to the intelligence community here in the United States. This way they get around the law, get around the Constitution and everything else. We didn't spy on the people. This was given to us by another country. And that's what the Five Eyes have been doing. Trump right now is looking to break this up, to stop this illegal spying apparatus. Actually, this is really treason on the American people. Now, we also mentioned there was a meme where Trump was saying that when I'm done, it'll be like you were never even here, and he was pointing to Obama. And then he said, once the investigations start to come out and all the information comes out about the FISA, Obama, the Clintons, he was saying that Obama most likely will try to claim Kenyan citizenship. Now, this came out on March 9th of 2018. On March 2018, coming from the Department of State, it just so happened that Secretary Tillerson arrived in Nairobi to meet with Kenyan leadership to further the U.S.-Kenya partnership and discuss ways we can work together to counter terrorism, advance peace and security, promote good governance, and spur mutually beneficial trade. Do you really think that's why he was there? Is this a coincidence? I think not. There are no coincidences. They were there to block what was about to happen. What we are seeing right now behind the scenes is a complete takedown of the deep state. Evidence is being gathered right now. Groups are being broken up. And the kill shot is coming very soon. Now, we know that North Korea was number one on the list. Stop the deep state from advancing in North Korea. That has been accomplished. The next country is going to be Iran, where the deep state has been pushing for a long time to get back into Iran. That's their whole objective, because their plan was to go into Iraq, Libya, Syria, and then eventually end up in Iran. And we see right now that peace is going to be brought to this area also. Remember, the game is being played right now. Certain things that you hear on the corporate media, it's part of the game. And you can see that things are definitely happening behind the scenes. And we're going to see huge shakeups from now until most likely November 11th, 2018, when Trump wants to have a parade. He's saying most of this is going to be taken care of between this whole entire period. Now remember, Q also mentioned that there's going to be some type of dead cat bounce, and I do believe from all the research and everything that I've been looking at, there is going to be some type of event where they're going to try something quite large. And we can see that this is not going to be months, but I think it's going to be weeks. I think it's going to happen very, very quickly. And they're going to try to push their agenda very hard in this respect. And we're going to see a lot of things happen. Maybe they can shut them down beforehand. Hopefully they can. Or while it's happening, allow a lot of the clues to come out and make them very public so people can see what is happening. I think that would be one of the best things they could do. If the deep state is planning the next false flag, mess it up so bad. I mean, I do believe this last one was put out there with all these clues coming out and how everyone was, looking at it, and you can see things that don't make sense. If they could do it this time, where it's out in the open and the corporate media can't even hide it, like it's right in front of them, this would expose how they push false flags on the American people. This would be something incredible. And if they could have the proof where, the television news networks were out there and they're in the wrong position and they catch the drill happening, they catch all these anomalies, they catch all these, and they're actually televising at the same time, that would show the American people, what am I watching here? This doesn't even make sense. That is one way you can really expose what is going on. But we need to remember that the deep state, they still have power. They still have the ability to do things. And we can see right now that they're not beaten yet. They're getting we're getting close, but they still have certain power. So expect anything and everything. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.